Welcome back, guys, to Unlikely Sisters, a tale of five Digital Naaris, powered by Third Bell Studio. I hope you guys have loved our previous podcast on Tales and Ties August edition. Our today's podcast is about India's independence. On 15th August 1947, after nearly 200 years of British rule, India achieved its independence, and this was the result of sustained political movement, non-violent protest, armed resistance, and sacrifices of countless freedom fighters. But freedom was something that wasn't gifted, it was earned through decades of struggle, sacrifice, and unity. People from all walks of life, like farmers, students, workers, poets, and leaders, stood up together to break the chains of British rule. While independence was a landmark achievement, it also came with the partition of the country into India and Pakistan. The partition was largely the result of political disagreement, communal tension, and the demand for separate states based on religion. But with the joy of freedom came with the sorrow of partition in 1947. This was not just a political decision but a human tragedy. So, today we will be talking about the history of India's independence and today's India scenario. Here I am with my partner, Taurus Girl.
Hi everybody, first of all, a very happy Independence Day to all of you. So, yes, today the topic we are going to be talking about can be a little bit controversial as many of y'all might agree or disagree to this. So, yes, but between like all of that, we all know that we all are Indians and we harbor that one emotion of brotherhood. So, yes, continuing that emotion, we will talk about a few topics like how India looks after so many years and what things have changed and in what terms do we still have to like get freedom and how we have gotten that freedom, like in some places, in like some areas we have gotten that freedom, but then again there are some areas, stratas of the society where we still haven't gotten that freedom. So yes, we'll be talking about all that. So continuing the discussion, over to you, Libra Girl.
Okay, imagine back in 1947 when millions of people had to leave their homes overnight. Families got separated, friends suddenly on opposite side of a new border. The trains, once symbol of connection, became silent witnesses to violence and death. Partition caused one of the largest mass migration in recorded history. An esteemed 14 to 15 million people were displaced, crossing newly drawn borders in both directions. And this is just a official stand. We don't know the original numbers. So all these things had a severe consequence, like mass displacement without adequate shelter or transport, lack of medical facility to handle injuries, epidemics, and trauma after this kind of tragedy, food shortages and overcrowding in refugee camps, breakdown of law and order in many regions. From 1947 to the present, India has made some significant progress till now. Like from an economy dependent on agriculture to one of the world's fastest growing economies, establishment of democratic institution and regular election, advances in space research, medicine and technology, and improvement in literacy rate. Like back then in 1947, the literacy rate was just 12%, but now it is 77%. In 1947, we had no industrial base, but now in today's digital India, we are the fifth largest economy in the world. However, this progress has been uneven. While some sectors have flourished, others still face challenges such as inadequate healthcare system in rural areas and unemployment. Many problems discussed decades ago still exist in this digital India. Like the caste-based discrimination continues despite legal provisions like we have discussed in our previous podcast, and also the major crime that are against women remain a major concern, requiring both legal and social reform. And the student suicide case, this is something really concerning because students are the youth of our nation, and these increasing cases are showcasing a point towards the flaws in the education and mental health care support system. Also, the Northeast often feels disconnected from the rest of India. The pollution, unemployment, and corruption are still the barriers to true progress. And these are just not policy issues, these are civic issues. Every citizen must be aware of them and contribute to solution, not only through voting but through daily civic responsibility. So that was from my side about my insight of today's India. I want to know about your insight, Taurus girl. Over to you.
Yeah, I totally agree with whatever points you stated. So, yes, in like we all as Indian citizens are aware of our responsibilities and how much we have faced since the time of independence. Like during that period, not many of us have seen it, and those who have seen it are not present with here right now. But whatever I have heard from my grandparents, my great grandfathers, everybody said that one thing that they were most scared of was like leaving their businesses behind, starting a new family here, and everything. So me being a Sindhi, so we had to like really like my forefathers and everybody had to like leave their business. Their business was well settled, and they had to leave everything with like little to no money. They came to India and they settled here. My forefathers didn't really have any difficulties, but I have seen in my community people are still facing the blow of that time, and it's been like a long time, like 77 years. It's a long time, but people are still facing that blow. And so every time you can't even blame a person, right? That maybe the person is not working hard enough. There are some times when it's like a lot of factors are involved, and sometimes we as a nation also need to see where we are going wrong. Like the literacy rate has increased, but what about actually being literate? I mean, girls don't get the freedom. A girl can't go out of her house after 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., or in some cities or villages, even after 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., or maybe never. I mean, is that what we're really saying independent India looks like? And then when we see Dalit people, there are still some cases where Dalit men are murdered because they fell in love with a higher caste girl. I mean, is this really what we call independence? So yeah, that is what I want to like say about, and I'll put in more insights. But yes, over to you, Libra Girl.
Okay, so there's this one very common thing that Indian citizens do, which we call as the blame game. Let's be honest, these issues don't disappear by blaming the government or the system. They disappear when every citizen becomes a part of the solution. A truly better India becomes a truly better India begins in classrooms, not just with textbook but with life skills education. Imagine a curriculum where students learn about cybersecurity to protect themselves in this digital world. They learn about entrepreneurship to generate jobs, not just search for them. Mental well being so that they can handle stress, competition, and failure. And the most important, constitutional rights and duties. To know what they can demand and what they must contribute as a citizen of India. Education is something that is not just about degrees, it's about awareness. A literate but uninformed citizen can be still manipulated. An aware citizen is harder to mislead and more likely to take stand for justice. Our constitution gives us fundamental rights, but it also lists us the fundamental duties like protecting public property, respecting the national heritage, and promoting harmony. Okay, so last year I had this one trip back in Jaipur where we had this tour of this one heritage place over there, and we came across to this one really shameful incident. There were few people who might be the ones who were there traveling, maybe exploring Jaipur, and they were harassing few foreigners who belonged from a different nation. I mean, if citizens will do something like that, they are not just making a bad perspective about themselves, but they are also giving a bad perspective about the citizens of India, each of us. Because we don't just define ourselves, but we also define our nation from our nature. So that's what I wanted to say. And also, like, when we vote for a government, it means that we trust them to solve problems because we know India has potential, but it's a land where you will find problems in every possible lane. And it's never impossible, like, you won't ever find a solution to any problem. And that's what we expect from our government to do. But yeah, I mean, this trust must be active but not passive. Citizens should question, participate in policy discussions, and work at a community level to improve things. I mean, according to me, a better and safer India would mean like where women can feel safe while traveling in the midnight, and schools where no student feels worthless or invisible. Villages with clean water, electricity, and internet access. Cities that grow sustainably without choking on their own pollution. And this isn't a dream, it's a roadmap. It begins with unity, education, and accountability. When there are problems, there is a solution, and there is always a hope that will always exist. So, this was from my side. Over to you, Taurus Girl.
Yes, this is like so true. Wherever there are problems, there's always a solution. I mean, I do agree. It's obviously we are not blaming the government here, that it's entirely the government's fault, but if you see all these recent cases, the ECI case, the Congress case, I'm not going to go in the detail of all these cases because you all are very well aware of it. And the dogs case, like Delhi court announced that all the dogs have to be put into houses, like shelters or something, like the stray dogs. I mean, not even shelters, they are like being just taken off the roads and being put into some places. And if you see the videos, they have been doing it so brutally. I mean, is there like no humanity left? I mean, you see the cases that have been happening, the recent ECI case and everything, to like remove the light from there, they have shed light on a new thing which is not even that important. I mean, okay, dogs are sometimes cause of rabies, but that doesn't mean that you'll just put them in like a cage and be so brutal on them. This is, we say that we are independent to show patriotism. We all show patriotism. We'll dance, we'll sing Jana Gana Mana, we'll hoist the flag. And I'm not saying that there's no patriotism left. One place you'll see all the soldiers who just gave their lives for our country in the Pahalgam attack and so many other things. Patriotism is still alive. But then again, what about the negative things? At some point, even the government has to be held accountable because they are the one who are taking responsibility for us, for the citizens. When we are being irresponsible, obviously that's for us to take accountability. But when they do stuff like this, like the dog case, the ECI case, and many more, the rape victims haven't gotten justice yet. Like, there are so many 80,000 something cases like pending, and still the most important case that we want to focus on is how do we take the dogs out of the street, really. So yes, this is some things that really, make me want to, like, you know point to this fact, like bring this fact to light, that how far is patriotism going to take us if we are not going to be responsible, if we don't take accountability for our actions. Patriotism actually won't take us anywhere. We as citizens need to understand, because if you see, India is a country where compassion is everything. I mean, it's a country of great saints who have preached compassion for years. And somewhere we just keep forgetting that value, that virtue, that we need to keep compassion. And there are so many people who keep compassion and are like so ahead in life, and yes, then we can like proudly say that yes, this is our India, rather than seeing all those cases and saying, oh, that is also India. So yes, that is from my side. Over to you.
I so agree with you, Taurus girl, on this, that when we expect a better and a safer India, it's a thing that comes with unity and responsibility and with cooperation from both sides, not just from the government, not just from the citizen, but from both. क्योंकि we all know कि ताली एक हाथ से नहीं दो हाथ से बजती है. So, Taurus girl, I do have some questions for you where I will be questioning you about the recent problems and what solution you find suitable for them. So, guys, we will be back with part two of other side of 15th August, where we will have a questionnaire round. Taurus girl and I will be answering few questions, and we will have some questions for you as well, which might be a brainstorming session for you. So stay tuned for the part two of the other side of 15th August. Until then, follow Unlikely Sisters, a tale of 5G Digital Naaris. Stay tuned.